I feel privileged to have written a book on Sardar Patel, the Unifier of modern India. Recently, I wrote a book on Nehru titled Nehru, a Troubled Legacy. After writing on Nehru, I felt it necessary to write another man who gave India which is today. Sardar Patel, he was made Home Minister at the time when British had dangerously designed to divide India into three parts, that is Hindustan, Pakistan and Princess. I need not repeat. Then there used to be around 54 princely estates, and the British gave this option to the princely estates that the princely estates are free to either join Pakistan or Hindustan or remain free, independent. Most of the princely estates, they either wanted to remain free, and some of them even went to the extent of saying that they want to join Pakistan. In this category, there were a number of estates like Junagadh, Jodhpur, Hyderabad, and earlier even Travancore was hesitant, I am not clear about it. You can imagine when Jinnah was insisting to persuade those estates to join Pakistan and destroy India, destroy India's freedom, and then Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he undertook a task to integrate all Indian states. He would never be forgotten in India. Vallabhbhai has won for himself a glittering page in the history as an annexionist and unifier, far more resourceful and much bolder than even Bismarck. Only men of his resolute and persuasive abilities could have accomplished the unique feat of merging the 500 odd mutually exclusive and fiercely self-regarding principalities into India's wider unity. The Boldness Revolution, representing the crowning achievement of his life, was accomplished at a time when the armed forces of the government of India were dangerously inadequate. Another thing which inspired me to write the book on Patel was that in certain circuits he was painted as a reactionary, communalist and Hindu nationalist. I was surprised to see these comments. Even now, a section of people continues to remain of the same belief. Some authors have thrown much mud at Sardar's memory. This needs to be cleared by presenting hard facts. Patel's personality will then stand out clear and radiant for future generations to make their own estimate of his contribution towards building the free nation which India is today. In the political flux of today, thinking men more than ever mourn the absence of Patel's leadership, his clarity of thought, his robust sense of realism, his firmness in decision, and his iron will which none could bend. They cannot help saying, had Patel been alive for some more years, India would not have seen such dismal days. When Patel died, he died only after a few years of independence. He couldn't survive for a longer period, which India needed at that time. When he died, while paying obituary to him, Rajgopalachari, what he said, I would like to read some of the quotes. Rajgopalachari said, quote, "What inspiration, courage, confidence and force incarnate Vallabhbhai was. We will not see the likes of him again." Nehru called him, quote, "the builder and consolidator of New India, a great captain of our forces in the struggle for freedom, a tower of strength which revived wavering hearts. Gandhi found him a colleague, quote, most trustworthy, staunch and brave. Vinoba Bhave called him, quote, the accurate bowman of Gandhi's struggle. His disciple and his GOC, he knew no retreat, unquote. Patel's international acclaim was equally eloquent. The London Times wrote of him on his demise, quote, little known outside his own country, Sardarji neither sought nor won the international reputation achieved by Gandhi or Mr. Nehru. Yet he made up with them triumvirate that gave shape to the India of today. The Manchester Guardian tribute was more specific. Quote, without Patel, Gandhi's idea would have had less practical influence and Nehru's idealism less scope. Patel was not only the organizer of the fight for freedom, but also the architect of the new state. When the fight was over, the same means seldom successful, both as rebel and statesman. Patel was the exception. Thus we see that he never hankered for fame and reputation. He was a silent worker. He believed in hard work. He believed in truthful devotion and dedication. I mean, if Kashmir would not have been the Kashmir, responsibility would not have been snatched from him by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, I believe and I am sure Patel would have definitely solved the problem of Kashmir. But unfortunately, Nehru did not allow him to look after and see the Kashmir fight. India still feels sorry for it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Shri RNP Singh is a research scholar, a senior fellow at the Vivekananda International Foundation. He is a renowned author who has written many books in the past, and he has now produced another great book called Sardar Patel, Unifier of Modern India. As everybody knows, Sardar Patel had a major role to play in the integration of India after independence. Sardar Patel has a larger-than-life character, and he has been fondly remembered as the Iron Man of India. He was a great administrator. He had exceptional decision-making capabilities. He was a very determined person. He had clear thinking and he had a vision. Now, I think in the present times, when India is becoming a major power, when India is facing many challenges, and India is on path to development, it is good to remember one of the great heroes of the past, Sardar Patel. Mr. RNP Singh has consulted many documents, and he has produced this excellent study of the role of Sardar Patel in unifying India. The book has many chapters. The book goes into the details of how Sardar Patel was able to convince more than 560 princes and nawabs and sovereigns of that age that their future lay with India and not in independence. And he was able to convince them not necessarily by using force, but through persuasion and through the power of argument and logic. The princes and the rajas and the maharajas of that time, they saw reason in Sardar Patel's assertions, and they felt reassured that what Sardar Patel was saying was correct, and if they existed in India in a fragmented way, their future would be bleak. So it is an exceptional episode in India's history and perhaps in world history that a country which had more than 560 principalities, they all came together voluntarily and agreed to form a nation. And I think the role of Sardar Patel in that great venture can never be overstated. In fact, the people of India will always be grateful to Sardar Patel how he convinced these principalities to become a part of India. If any of them had not agreed or if they had created problems, India's story of the last 70 years would have been very different. I think Sardar Patel, through his actions and through his farsightedness and through his great talent, provided India that stability and sovereignty which was missing at that point of time and which would have created many problems if we had not addressed that issue. Apart from that, Sardar Patel also saw that India needed a strong civil service and he created an Indian version of the civil service. So he attached great importance to Indian administrative service, to Indian police service, and he contributed a lot to their founding and to their growth. Sardar Patel lived only 3 years after the independence, but in those 3 years he was able to do something which many people are unable to do even in lifetime. Apart from his talent in administration, Sardar Patel was also an astute observer of the international scene. He understood geopolitics very well. When the Chinese occupied Tibet in 1949, Sardar Patel was the first one to see the implications of this for India. And he warned Pandit Nehru at that time that India should take some action and should not accept the Chinese occupation of Tibet. However, he died in 1950 and India-China relations have developed in a very different way. And in 1962, China attacked India and a Sino-Indian war took place in which India lost, and that impacted and has impacted India's relationship with China to this day. Modern generations who do not know about the history of India, how India was formed, how India grew, what problems it faced soon after independence, will benefit a lot from Mr. RNP Singh's book on Sardar Patel, and I strongly recommend that they read this.